Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to True Crime and Wine. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. I am Sherilyn, and I am so glad you found me. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you for joining me every single upload. I love and I appreciate you so much, and I missed you so much last week. I had every intention on posting. I had this whole case ready to go, and it was just one of those weeks. It was productive behind the scenes. I actually was able to get a lot of research done, but I was just like very low energy, kind of a little bit somber. And I think it was just, my mental health being like, you just need a week, little break ski. So that's what I did, but here I am again. I'm feeling much more refreshed and positive, and thank you for being patient with me. I also haven't gotten a chance to thank you for the support on the Sippendale Foundation. I'm going to be doing a live event on YouTube in the next couple weeks here for like an official launch and hangout session with you. I'll be doing a giveaway with like 50 little goodies that I'm going to send out, and I'll just be preparing those little mail outs on live hanging with you. So I'm super excited about that. I don't have the exact date and time yet, but I will post it in my community tab as well as my Instagram. I'm also going to be doing a mass mail campaign for David Almquist, where we all sit and hang out on live and stuff envelopes with letters to the district attorney to reinvestigate David's case. Again, I'll have all of that information once it's locked in the community tab and on Instagram. That way, if you want to get involved, get a template of the letter. I'm hoping everybody would be comfortable with mailing out like at least 25 each. If you can do more, that's amazing. And yeah, we could just all stuff them together. I actually got the idea for that researching this case. So I'm really appreciative of all that and learning these types of things to continue making a difference. It's not always financial. I know that there's a lot of pressure. Things are really tight, especially now. I actually just got off the phone with Shaw. That's our cable distributor out here. Why can't I talk right now? It's worse than usual. But I'm like, we are not utilizing this to its full capacity and be paying the prices that we pay. Like, you're cut. It's gone. So just know that there are other ways that you can still make a difference. And that also actually touches on our sponsor today. So let's thank them and get into the case. Before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you to a longtime supporter of my channel, PDS Debt. You already know I will always be open and honest with you and with my sponsors about sponsorship. Being Canadian and having a strong majority of US supporters, and I mean strong, like over 80%, it can make things a little bit challenging. There are some times that I can't use a service, and that sucks for me, but if it's something that resonates with me and something that I would have wanted as an option, or even just to talk about so people don't feel embarrassed and the feedback continues to be positive, it will be something that I continue to do. And PDS Debt is one of those companies. I went through a period in my life where I just never thought I would get out of that feeling of stress and staying awake at night, going over everything that I owe. But I just had too much pride, and I was too embarrassed to ever acknowledge and admit, like, you should probably talk to somebody. I got to a point where I was just so numb that I was like, it's never gonna change. I don't even care anymore. And for years, it just haunted me. And so when I heard about PDS Debt, I thought, even if I can't personally use it, and I'm in a much different situation in my life now, I still want to take the opportunity to let anybody watching who might be in that situation currently know that you're not alone. I feel like if I felt like somebody I watched and felt a connection with also experienced that, it could help even just to entertain the idea to see if it's a fit for you. If you're someone who is making payments constantly every month and you're just feeling like that balance is not going down, this definitely could be an option. What PDS Debt does is it rolls all of your payments into one low 0% interest monthly payment. That alone just saves you thousands in interests and fees. It also can help you pay off your debt in a fraction of the time because you're not feeling so overwhelmed about all of these different bills just coming at you and feeling like you need to pick and choose which one you're going to address and then still feel like it doesn't do anything anyways. Everyone with over $10,000 or more in debt qualifies. qualifies, and there's no minimum credit score required. You can have bad, good, or fair credit. PDS Debt is offering a free debt analysis just for going over to their website and filling out their debt assessment. All you have to do is head over to their website at pdsdebt.com/Dale. That is pdsdebt.com/Dale, and fill out their quick and easy debt assessment. Thank you again so much, PDS Debt, for continuing to support the channel. And for anyone who needs the site one more time, it's pdsdebt.com/Dale. All right, today we are talking about a case that has been a highly requested one. It's also been one that has been on my mind and that I've been wanting to talk about, but it's not the easiest. There has been a lot of information that was put out there even by law enforcement, and then that was changing. There's also been conflicting reports between the police report and the medical examiner, so it makes it hard to try to cross-reference, especially with information that's put out there on social media, and really nail down what is fact from fiction. That being said, I think I have compiled a relatively easy to follow timeline and breakdown of this devastating case. As you already know from the thumbnail, we are talking about Shanquella Robinson, and she died in Mexico just this past October 2022. And her story went viral when her family started asking questions about the circumstances of her death that they were being told by the group of friends that she was with. I use that term extremely loosely. Her family was originally told that she died of alcohol poisoning. And then when they finally get her body home from Mexico, they see that her face is covered in bruises. And then the autopsy comes and says that her death was the result of a spinal injury. Her family since then has just been working tirelessly to keep Shanquella's case in front of the media, on the desks of FBI, as well as Mexican authorities, so that they can get Shanquella the justice that she needs and deserves. I want to talk a little bit about Shanquella. She was born January 9th, 1997 to her parents Bernard and Salamandra Robinson. And from what I could gather, Shanquella had drive and passion. She was a successful female entrepreneur. She had a women's clothing line. She ran a couple businesses. One was a boutique beauty business, and then the other one was a children's hair braiding business. The boutique was called Exquisite Boutique, and her hair braiding business was called Exquisite Kids. Her family and friends describe her as a free-spirited woman, so loving, and her mom said had a heart of gold. She was very hardworking and kind to those who met her, and was always down to go travel and live it up. She had actually just been to Vegas and Jamaica, both less than a year before she and 6 travel companions, we'll call them, went to Mexico together. The people she was with was Khalil Cook, who she considered her best friend of 5 years, Malik Dyer, Winter Donovan, Elise Hyatt, Dejanay Jackson, and Nazir Wiggins. And they had all made this trip to go and celebrate 2 of their birthdays, Nazir and Dejanay. These are people that she allegedly knew from university. She went to Winston-Salem University, and her parents said she considered herself very close with Khalil, but the impression is that the other ones were more of acquaintances. So they all, with the exception of Nazir, who was coming the following day, flew out on October 28th, and they went to Cabo. They were renting this luxury vacation spot. It was in San Jose del Cabo, and they were renting it from a company called Cabo Villas and staying in Villa Linda 32. Based off Instagram videos from that first day night, they look like they're just having a great time. Definitely that first day vibe where you're so pumped to get there. They're having bevies, they're playing card games. There's a clip of Shanquella skinny dipping. If you want to see a lot of those clips and footage, you can head on over to the North Carolina Beats Instagram. Gerald over there has been in close contact with the family and other people that are also helping on the case. So that evening, she spoke to her mom. She sounded in great spirits, and her mom said that they were all pumped to have this personal chef that was coming over and cooking dinner for them. There is footage of them having this dinner, and it looks like everybody's having a wonderful time. And later on in the evening, there is a video that was posted on Shanquella's Instagram, but it was from her, who she believed was her best friend, Khalil, filming her passed out in a hammock. And this has been a video that has gotten a lot of attention because as he's filming her sleeping, he's going, "Oh, the first dead body."
First dead body. Buddy.
Now, I personally stand on the point where I don't think that that was a conspiracy, a message of what was to come. I think that it was an unfortunate choice of words that ended up becoming a reality. That being said, I think the actions or lack of to this day from him and the rest of the group is very telling and speaks volumes. They all made it very clear how much they valued Shanquella the very next day. So it's believed that the very next afternoon, the maid comes in to clean up and discovers Shanquella on the ground in the bathroom unresponsive. She said no one else was in the villa and she had to actually leave and go look around to see if she could find other members of the group to let them know. And when she found them, they went in, act shocked to find her in this condition and said, "Oh, she's been drinking a lot of alcohol." Her condition is concerning enough that at 2:13 p.m. a doctor is called to the property. According to police reports, it was Winter Donovan that made this call. And before the doctor arrives, Shanquella's mom is called. Khalil calls Salamandra and says she's really sick. We think it's alcohol poisoning. A doctor's coming though, and we will keep you updated. This is around the time that the last friend that was joining the group to celebrate his birthday as well, Nazir Wiggins, arrives.
First of all, oh yeah, the guest list that my name is on. Go try to find my signature. I didn't sign it. And the only reason why my name was on there because you had to have your name on the list to get past the gate. If your name wasn't on the list, they would not let you up to your villa. So they signed my name, they printed my name, and signed my name, which is not my signature or my print. That's the only reason why I'm on that list. That's the reason why I don't have a phone number there. Like, come on, brother. I was really tripping, brother. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense for me to keep trying to live my life and move past this, and I did something. Nothing is eating me alive. I don't know. I didn't know. Because I didn't do anything. I walked into something stupid. And I really wish a flight got canceled, blew up. I don't give a fuck. Don't send me there. I don't know. I can't question God's plan, but he has a way. I'm only clearing my name one time. If you feel it's clear or it's not, that's on you. Take what you want to take out of this. Like, I was genuinely heartbroken that I went into a house to see a friend that I knew for 9 years, unresponsive, on vacation, 2,000 miles away, in another country. It makes no sense.
There have been a lot of theories of his involvement out there. I don't want to speculate or assume. I mean, even some of the theories like the maid is involved, and I just don't want to be adding to the questions. I don't personally think he was there when the incident that led to Shanquella's condition happened, but I don't think that he didn't know what happened, even if it was after the doctors left and she was pronounced dead. The doctor actually didn't arrive until an hour and 2 minutes after that call was placed. And when she arrives, her report says that Shanquella has stable vital signs, but she was dehydrated and unable to communicate verbally. Her belief was that she appeared inebriated, and when she arrived, Shanquella was in the living room, not the bathroom anymore. The doctor's report says that she strongly suggested that Shanquella get transferred and treated at a hospital, but the other travelers that Shanquella was with asked that she be treated with an IV there at the resort. According to the report, an IV was attempted but unsuccessful. And allegedly, this decision to have her treated at the resort was because that fee was only $150 US, and that if she had been taken and seen at a hospital, it was going to be $5,000. When the group called Salamandra back to update her on Shanquella's condition and the treatment that was being offered, she said, well, she has insurance. So if the doctor thinks she should be going to the hospital, I'm kind of saying she should go to hospital. I know that she's got insurance. And then she's told, no, that they don't accept that insurance here. And she's kind of just like dismissed and told like, this is how it is. We'll call you back with the next update. And this is a huge problem here. It seems there was a hesitation for her to get treated at a hospital because they were very aware that her condition had nothing to do with alcohol poisoning. It's frustrating though, because it's like, why would you even say, oh, it's $5,000 when I'm assuming, like, as a Canadian, like, I know if you want medical treatment, it's much more affordable in Mexico than it is here in Canada or the US. I always hear people say, oh, I got quoted this at my dentist. It was more than half the price in Mexico. Or this, I got this surgery here. It would have cost me this much if I got it in Canada or the US. And second, I watched Kendall Rae's video on this case. And normally I don't do that if I know that I'm going to talk about the same case, just because I just don't want to like subconsciously deliver the information the same or just say the same thing and not even realize it. But I know that she's a very reliable, ethical creator. And so I wanted to make sure like the information that I had put together and the understanding and grasp of the case that I had was like lining up with hers. She made a really good point that I do want to talk about here. She said, okay, let's say for instance, it did cost $5,000. This villa that they were renting up is showing up that they rent it for $1,500 US a night. So you would think that between 6 people, they could get something together, even temporarily, being like, I know that she's gonna pay us back when she's feeling better, or even if she couldn't, like it shouldn't even be a thought that you would make this work to get your friend who is in critical condition immediate attention. But they don't. And even with the doctor still trying to get a response from Shanquella, treating her for over an hour, Shanquella ends up suffering from a seizure in front of everybody at 4:29 p.m. At this point, an ambulance is called, but her condition just deteriorates quick. Her breathing starts to go short and shallow, and then quickly her pulse rate starts dropping and quickly stops. Based off the police report, it says at 4:49, it was the doctor and a friend of Shanquella's that were trying to administer CPR. I did come across a video interviewing one of the first responders there, and he had stated that it wasn't a friend that was helping, it was a nurse that was there. So I don't know 100% who it was, but by 5:57 p.m., Shanquella was officially pronounced dead. According to the medical report, there was multiple attempts and methods used to get a heartbeat back from Shanquella. It said there were 14 rounds of CPR, 5 doses of adrenaline, and 6 AED shocks. Police arrived on scene during these attempts at 5:25, but by 5:57, Shanquella was officially pronounced dead. The next call her parents get is to notify them that Shanquella's gone, and I can only imagine how confusing and heartbreaking that would be. You're just thinking, okay, we're going to hear back soon that she's got some IV, she was dehydrated, went a little bit too hard, learned a lesson, and she's all good. But no, it's like, we think she has alcohol poisoning, and then all of a sudden she's gone. I mean, it's not to say that things like that don't happen. You don't lose a friend or somebody that you care about to alcohol poisoning, especially on a vacation. So they're just trying to process this shock and grief. And then Shanquella's father said that while he was speaking to Mexican authorities trying to locate his daughter's body, actually, it's the first time that he hears, your daughter did not die of alcohol poisoning. She was attacked. There are also sources that say an anonymous call was placed to the family as well. This is believed to be from an acquaintance of somebody who was there FaceTiming during a very crucial incident that comes to light, or somebody that had heard about it and was retelling it like through the grapevine, and that they felt like it was the right thing to do to call the Robinsons and say, hey, something happened and Shanquella was attacked and that's why she's not here. So when the group leaves and cuts the trip short and leaves the very next day, leaving Shanquella's body in Mexico, I just want to kind of sidebar that. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, her friends left her. I personally know that if it was my best friend, it would be extremely hard for me to leave. I would want to be like on that plane flying back with the body. I understand that maybe not everybody would do that though. And so the way I think is, in the very least, you'd think that you'd want as much information as possible that you could provide for the family and help them. They didn't even ask what hospital she was going to, where her body was going to go, to which funeral home, nothing. And they knew that Khalil was going to be going to see the family to bring them Shanquella's bag. I don't know. I just feel like it would be information that I would want to readily have available for them to just try to make things as easy as they can be in a situation like this. When Khalil arrives back to North Carolina, he goes and meets with Salamandra to drop off Shanquella's luggage at Salamandra's house, and while he's there, she asks him, is there something that you're not telling me? And he's like, nope. It was just an accident. He really hammers home that the whole group tried everything they could, but couldn't help her. The doctors did. But from the first meeting, the family's just like, something's wrong. Even her ex-boyfriend, Ricky, I believe, was also there at that meeting and said he wouldn't even look him in the eye. And there just started being numerous inconsistencies between each person's retelling of what happened that afternoon. But it's so frustrating because they felt like there wasn't much that they could do in those early days without something more. And Shanquella's dad spoke about the time that he was trying to search for his daughter's body out in Mexico, making all of these calls, not being able to get through to anybody who spoke English. And then he said he finally got in touch with a woman named Elizabeth at the funeral home, and he refers to her as his angel. She assured him on that first conversation she was going to be in contact with him every step of the way until she knew that his daughter was home safe with him. I believe it was her that also made mention of not believing that her death was the result of alcohol poisoning. And when she did finally get Shanquella home to her dad and he saw her body for the first time, is when he was very confident that their suspicions were accurate and much more happened that day than just over drinking. When he sees her lip is busted. She's got bruises and swelling on her eye and forehead. And so they're one step closer to having proof that something more happened. And that proof becomes even stronger on November 5th when her autopsy report comes back. And it lists her cause of death as severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation. The report said that this type of injury would have led her to die within 15 minutes of sustaining it, which just leads a flood of questions. First, the police report said that it had been 3 hours since that initial phone call for medical assistance until she died. Second, there's no mention of alcohol poisoning, the main thing that her family is being told caused her death. They called the friends to be like, what is this about? There's no mention of alcohol. And she had a spinal cord injury. And since that date, they've never heard from any of the members that were on that trip again. After they're just ghosted and not getting any answers from the people that were there, they ended up going to media on November 11th for the first time to address their concerns. They lay out the version of events they were given and then try to compare it to the autopsy report, which doesn't make any sense. From that first interview, they're like, something happened for this spinal cord injury, and information is being withheld because why are we confidently being told that it was due to over drinking? And this doesn't even, remotely fall into that category at all. Lo and behold, November 16th, a video surfaces on social media. The video went viral and it shows what sources allege as Dejanay attacking Shanquella, who is undressed. At this point, I don't think it's ever been officially confirmed by investigators who the two women are. It has been stated multiple times from quite reliable sources that the aggressor was Dejanay and the one being attacked was Shanquella, especially based on the recording. If you've seen it, I'm not going to show it, but if you've seen it, Khalil, her quote-unquote best friend, is recording saying, Quella, can't you at least fight back, even just a little? And it's one of the hardest parts to watch because you just hear this calm, somber reply from her just saying no. She's not screaming, she's not fighting back. And her family says they're not surprised because she wasn't a fighter. In the video, Dejanay is just hurling punches at Shanquella. She's kicking her. At one point, she picks her up and slams Shanquella, and her back and neck, you can see, actually hit the corner of the bed. And never once in that footage does Shanquella fight back, even with Dejanay just like continue ruthlessly kicking her, punching her, and Shanquella being slumped. Like, she's in this position where she's sitting and she's like slumped forward on the ground. And hearing from a nurse who actually specializes in spinal cord injury talk about this case, it was shattering to hear what her opinion was on it and what Shanquella most likely was experiencing. According to her going over the autopsy, the injury, the atlas luxation, she basically described it as internal decapitation if it's not treated with care. So if like you're moving a body or not having it immediately treated. The survival rate of it isn't very high, but those chances become much higher if a medical team knows what they're dealing with. This nurse described that from looking at the fight video and seeing that contact with the bed and then reading the autopsy report and going through what would happen with spinal luxation, it sounds freaking horrifying. She says that with this injury, you would not be able to properly control your head and neck. You wouldn't be able to move how you want to. Like your brain would want you to do one thing, but your body would be incapable of doing it. You would struggle speaking coherently, but you would still be conscious and seeing and hearing everything that's going around you, but not being able to articulate words or movement. So if a first responder is coming to the scene and they're being told, oh, she drank too much, well, it kind of makes sense that that's how they would interpret it, because she has no control over what's happening. You know, like she's like a rag doll and can't talk. So this is where I feel like just the lack of cooperation from those who were there and the lack of honesty is exactly what hindered any chance of saving Shanquella that day. And I mean, a cover-up is blatant when you know that it's first reported by the maid that she was in the bathroom, but then when the doctor arrived, she's in the living room. She wouldn't have been able to move. She would have been dragged there. And I mean, that is first aid training 101, man. I remember that from my babysitting course. If somebody potentially has like a neck injury, you do not move that body. You leave them, get a nice warm blanket, and wait for the help. With all of the support and attention that this case was getting in those early days of the family's concerns, and then after this autopsy report is released, and then there's a video, on November 17th, Mexican authorities released a statement that yes, they are going to investigate the case, and they have said that they are looking at it as possible femicide. I could just be really confused with the term femicide and not know exactly like what brought them to that, because I believe it's murder of a woman or girl based on her gender. That being said, there's also a lot of other things that are really unclear, especially in the report, her time of death being one of them. Her death certificate says that she died at 3 p.m., but police reports show that 911 wasn't called until 4:20, and then she was officially pronounced dead at 5:57. Then you also have the statement on the medical examiner's report saying that with this type of injury, she would have died within 15 minutes, and the fight that occurred to lead to that injury happened anywhere from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. So it's definitely caused a lot of suspicion as to the people that were in that villa, and then those who were called on scene, whether Shanquella really was not alive at any point during attempts to save her, or if maybe the 15 minutes was a rush to judgment on that report. I think regardless, the concern is that there was no urgency of having her treated with life-threatening injuries, and that she was just kind of looked at like an intoxicated tourist. And that's even what her friends, her other traveler companions, real peaches, are also sticking by. They even went on lives after, insisting that nope, she was just out of her mind loaded. And it's like, oh my God, the pain that the family's already going through. It's on the report. Like it's a clear spinal injury, and there's nothing mentioned about alcohol that day. It's not convincing anyone. I believe it was Winter who was on a live and was the first one to confirm that there was a fight. She said she wouldn't name who is fighting Shanquella, and she says that it's no one's business because when her group of friends have an issue with each other, they fight it out. Personally, not the way that I would settle conflicts with my friends. To each their own, though. It becomes a problem, though, when your hash out session turns into potential murder. And then you've got the rest of the group just filming it, not rendering life-saving aid, and now you're all accomplices. As of so far, February 2023 we're not really any closer publicly to having clearer answers. The FBI have confirmed their involvement. And as of November 25th, Mexican authorities have charged an unnamed female in the case, and they have said that they are seeking extradition of this suspect from U.S. officials. So a report that was released from the Mexican officials, I just wanted to read it because it just helped me understand a little bit. So it said that the U.S. and Mexican authorities are working together. The Mexican investigation has asked that the U.S. side of the investigation interview the other people that were there so that they can determine if they want to press charges against them as well. And they just made it clear that, yes, it is important to charge whoever is responsible for this, but also hold accountability and charges against those who would be an accomplice because they would have been in that room, seen the altercation, and then, like I've said, prohibited proper care by blaming it on something else. Things definitely get complicated. The U.S. Attorney's Office said that it can't just unilaterally bring a murder charge when a U.S. citizen kills another U.S. citizen in a foreign country. It must be approved by the Maine Department of Justice in consultation with the Secretary of State. Now, the State Department has said that the Department of State does support a thorough investigation into the circumstances of this incident and is monitoring closely. All we can hope for is that, yes, it's taking more time because they are really wanting to make sure that a proper investigation is being conducted so that justice is served and that nothing slips through the cracks. These things can take time, which is frustrating, but also necessary if you want to make sure that you have a solid case, especially when it's so high profile like this and there are a lot of inconsistencies between different departments. You really need to make sure you're able to confidently wean out what is fact and what is fiction. So I'm really trying to be patient and hopeful, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this and just praying that I can give you a positive update soon that she finally is going to receive justice. So sad because as I have been researching this for the past few weeks, I realized that January 9th, just passed, would have been her 26th birthday. And when I was mentioning at the beginning of the video that I learned about what an effective method like mass mailouts are, it was from a mass mailout campaign that a nonprofit called Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury. It's a mouthful for, I think, anybody, but especially me. They're a nonprofit organization that seeks to end community violence, and they've been working with the Robinson family. And Mariel Black, who is the group's director, came up with this goal to mail out at least 1,000 letters and send them off to Mexican authorities and just kind of like reinvigorate a sense of urgency, hoping, like nothing gets stale in this case. I believe the letters were mailed out on February 18th. I don't know if they are planning on doing this again or even sending it to the State Department. There was an email that they provided for anybody who wasn't able to mail something out themselves so that they could print it for them and then make sure there's that hard copy in these people's hands and not just an email that you can just click and delete. So maybe if they're doing this in bulk to make a statement again, and you want to be a part of it. And their email is mymocs@yahoo.com. Once again, mymocs@yahoo.com. All right, you guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I'm going to be following this case closely, and I really hope I'm able to update with some positive news in the case. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It means the absolute world to me. I love and I appreciate you so much. I will see you in the next video. I will miss you terribly. Until then, make sure to love each other, love yourself, and I will see you soon.